Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about D3, The Mighty Ducks. So this came out in 1996, 2 years after the second movie and 4 after the first. And it's not a terrible movie per se, it's just very uneven. All the Mighty Ducks movie always bomb at the box office. I don't know why. They're really good. However, like I said before, the third movie just didn't really do it that much for me. One reason is because of the balance. They're trying to do two different tones in this. They're trying to keep the kiddish, childish humor from the first movie, but they're trying to mature the movie as well. Now, originally, this was supposed to be much, much darker, they said, but they had to tone it down because it's Disney. That's one reason why they kept cussing a lot in this movie, because they were trying to make it darker. Now, this movie is more mature than the first two movies, so mature that it causes people to hate the Charlie character, but at that same time, it did give him some good character development from that of the first two installments. However, he's so unlikable in this movie that I think they went a little too far in that aspect. And when he turned back good again, it just didn't feel earned. It felt rushed and everything. And so a few characters don't show up in this. Gordon Bombay only has a teeny tiny role in this, and that's because Emilio Estevez told them that he'll do this movie if y'all give him I think the rights or the money or something like that to make another movie. That other movie did not do so well. I think Gordon Bombay would have been in this movie a lot more, and he would have been like an assistant coach, or maybe just had more like a mentor role. It would have done a whole lot better, because Emilio is also the heart of this movie and stuff. It also started with him. The Mighty Ducks movies, it's not so much about the kids really, it's mostly about him and his journey, and those kids help him along. With him missing in the movie, you lose that connection. Now, as for the tone, like I said before, they tried to do homage to the first movie. So it has some childish moments like the first movie. It doesn't work here only because they're older and they're not little kids no more. Another problem is they bring in these childish, goofy, comedic sound effects. And it does not work now because the kids are older and stuff. This is now the third installment. Now, I briefly talked about this a while back. I made two mistakes. I said they was in college, and I said Gordon was about to be a lawyer. That was wrong. They're actually at a prep high school, and Gordon is teaching like pee-wee hockey somewhere. And so that's the only mistakes I made. Now, when it comes to this movie, Charlie is the central character. It is literally all about him. The rest of the ducks are basically side characters who are just there, barely have anything to say and barely have anything to do. Now, the only things they really have to do are things that they done in the previous movie. So it's just a repeat. So their characters are not allowed to grow and manifest because it's all about Charlie. And the thing about Charlie is Charlie's being a butthead throughout the entire movie. See, he's at this prep school. They got a scholarship to go to it. And they have to play junior varsity no matter what, because that was they were there for. So a lot of the other kids resent them because they're here on a paid scholarship. And the other kids been there for a lot longer and a lot jerkish. The thing with Charlie is that when he finds out that Gordon's not going to be coaching them, he's bitter at the very start of the movie. This continues when he meets his new coach, Orion. Coach Orion is not Gordon Bombay. Coach Oren, no, it's Oren, I think. Coach Oren is very mean, very rude, and he's like a drill sergeant. He tells them you're not ducks no more. He tells them the little childish games are not gonna fly. He wants you to play two-way hockey. He wants you to check people. This is something they're not really used to that much because they're not used to getting checked hard. And so every time, say Charlie messes up, he makes them do laps and everything. And Charlie thinks that he's the captain, this and that. Well, he gets his C ripped. he's no longer a captain, and it makes him even more angry. Charlie is now a teenager in this. They all are teenagers, and he has teenage angst. He's more angry than Fulton and Dean combined. He's so angry that he lashes out at his mom. He's so angry he lashes out at Han and everything. And everybody's trying to calm this dude down, but he just doesn't want it. To the point where he's so angry, he gets put in the penalty box. He breaks his stick. They lose the game until where he disrespects his coach so much he gets kicked off the team. He takes Fulton with him. They start ditching school after this. And Fulton's kind of like, man, because, Charlie's all like, we can go to public school. 4 years after that, when we're 17, we can go to Canada and play in the juniors and stuff. And Fulton tells him, I don't want to play hockey the rest of my life. And this proves to be true when it gets to the Disney Plus TV series. He's no longer playing hockey. And he's now a construction worker and stuff. This pisses off Charlie. That way he said he doesn't need him, and Fulton goes back to school. So now Charlie doesn't want an education. He doesn't want to play hockey. He just doesn't want to do nothing. On top of that, one thing that was a downfall in this movie, they only play hockey 3 times in the entire movie, and the first 2 times they lose. Now, of course, in the third one, they're going to win, but is it really earned and everything, especially when they're playing with more ruthless, bigger type students and everything. And so they only won only because it's a Mighty Ducks movie and everything. But yeah, they literally lose, and we don't like seeing them lose. We like seeing them win, and we also want to see them play hockey, and they don't play hockey that much in this movie. And it's weird because the audience that loved and grew up with these movies, this movie was too mature too fast, and the audience really wasn't that older yet. Like, some of the people were still younger, you know what I'm saying, but people were getting older, but they really wasn't expecting it to mature this fast and everything. And so what causes him, so then Han dies from the first movie. Remember him, the older dude? He dies, and after that he just doesn't want to be bothered no more until Gordon comes back. And then he talks to him. And then, of course, it's the sappy talk. And with the sappy talk, he takes him, this is the part that gets a little unbelievable. He takes him to an ice hockey rink, and we see his coach Owen do with his daughter in a wheelchair. And Gordon tells him this is why he doesn't play hockey no more. He was driving the car, his daughter got in the car wreck and everything, and he blames himself, and that's why he stopped. This has a revelation in Charlie to where he stops being a butthead, but it happened way too soon. And what are the odds that that coach was going to be there with his daughter? You know what I'm saying? It just happened out of the blue. And so it doesn't feel earned, like, at all. And also something that doesn't feel earned is the coach having a nice side after this. When they go to play one of their games, the dean comes to them and tells them that because, y'all have such free spirits and everything, we're taking your scholarships away because y'all have not won a single game, and that's the only reason why you're here. This causes the coach to get mad at the dean, and he has now a change of heart towards the middle end of the movie, but it hasn't been earned because the coach himself is a butt head and everything. So why all of a sudden is he taking up for these kids and everything? Because he literally doesn't like them and everything. And then then him and Charlie start talking again, and they don't bond or nothing. They just like forgive each other out of like nowhere. So nothing feels earned in this movie with the two people who are constantly clashing with each other, And so like Gordon comes in and he does his legal thing. Now, this is what's so weird. He said because they have a contract and a scholarship, they can't get kicked off the team. However, I don't know how that works. If you get a scholarship to play in sports, like if you're not doing too good, can't they take it away? I don't know. But what they could take it away from is their misconduct. And they had that twice in the movie. When the varsity team picks on them and pulls pranks on them, they pull pranks back. But the pranks they pull are on campus. And the varsity team they're off campus. So They could technically get expelled for that, but that's never brought up in the movie. They just get away with all the pranks they pull. Now the pranks they pull are pretty funny, so I like that. And stuff. But then, like I said before, we get to the end of the movie, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like a bit of like, they're all like playing, and the coach, he has a new tactic he wants to teach them. He tells them that the varsity team, they always pick up the leftovers. When you shoot and you miss, the varsity team's gonna be there on the next team trying to get like the puck. So he makes a game out of it, talking about picking up the trash. So he takes a bunch of trash, puts it in like the hockey ring, and they start playing around with the trash. Then they go out into the street, and then they just start picking up trash they see with their hands, which in hockey, you don't pick up nothing with your hands unless you're a goalie. And so this is like a weird tactic coming from him out of the blue, because he doesn't teach like this. He's teaching the way the first two movies do. But, he teaches like a drill sergeant. So there's no dramatic, like, reason or no type of revelation for him to like change his tactic. Like there's no evolution, no development for that. You know what I'm saying? It's just all of a sudden he starts doing it. So this movie is not very balanced very well. And, so like I tell you before, he makes them change their hockey jersey into like the Ducks and everything. That makes them happy. But they're using the uniforms from the second movie, which I love, by the way. But with this being the third movie and the uniforms literally being changed in real life because of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, why not use their jerseys and stuff? That's what they did in the second movie. And because we even see people in the audience wear like new hockey jerseys, so it would have been nice to have like a nice change up. So they didn't do that, just reusing the ones from the second movie. But the second movie is literally the best, so I don't want that nostalgia for a movie that's not that great. And of course they win, and then Gordon Bombay does his legal stuff that changed the school mascot from the Warriors to the Ducks. And I'm just kind of like, it makes them happy, but throughout the entire movie, they literally was not the Ducks no more. They were the Warriors throughout the entire movie. So for them to go back to that is kind of like a step back, kind of. And, and so this movie is not, like I said, it's not terrible, but it's not great. It's just very uneven. It's kind of like, it's very mature, but people are ready to mature that fast. Nothing seems earned for that maturity, and it still has childish elements. Now, for the rest of the cast, like I said before, they're just background characters, basically. They're just there to do a guest role and everything. The focus is never really on them. Some people get a little bit more focused, like Julie plays a lot more in this movie than she did in the second. And Goldberg takes a seat back because he's now number 2 and she's the starter. There's one funny scene where she's so bored because nobody's like, the team's not letting the team come back to them and everything. And so she can stop the puck. And so the ADR was so bad in that movie, you can tell she wasn't saying it in real time. However, there's really no character development with her. Goldberg, the only character development, he's jealous that she's the starter and he makes her sick in the beginning of the movie. But then it's strange. See, in the very beginning of the movie, they have like their normal like skating around town type thing. And Goldberg tells them, I'm a goalie, not a hockey player. I can't skate. And so it's like this funny, hilarious thing that goes on, right? And so in the last game of the movie, all of a sudden, he's no longer the goalie, and now he's playing defense and everything. But yet, he not only does he not know how to skate, he does not know how to play hockey. But now all of a sudden, he's playing, and he gets the final shot to win the scoring goal for the team. And I'm just kind of like, that's not earned, because he literally has no idea what he's doing. As for Connie and Guy, they are literally just there. They have no character development. They have barely any dialogue. And she just gets mad at him in the movie at one point, and that's about it. So you think they're going to break up, but they don't. And then, so for the cowboy dude, he literally is the same person he was in the last movie. He's just a dumb, like, hick of a cowboy who doesn't understand nothing. And so, like, he's still, like, they do this, like, Lone Ranger thing where he's dressed like the Lone Ranger on a horse, and he ties one guy up, and that's about it. it's a funny scene, but it just makes no sense for this scene to be in there. As for Han Wu, Kenny Wu, I think his name is Kenny Wu. Kenny Wu thing in the second movie is that he does figure skating. He doesn't do that at all in this movie. He's getting picked on by the older kids, but that's about it and everything. And he basically just takes it until Charlie and the other ones get like horse crap and makes the guys almost eat it and stuff. But other than that, he has no role. He tries to trash talk the other team, but doesn't do it very well. And that's literally it. Portman, I think his name is. He's just there to be silly like he is in the first two movies, so that's literally just it. So he has no character development whatsoever. The dude with the knuckle puck, I forget his name as well. He's just there like he was in the second movie, just to like say something like smart and funny, like a smart mouth and everything, and funny, and get pissed at somebody. When they kind of like getting on his nerves. So he has no character development. The only real character development he keeps telling them is that, like, look, man, I don't want to do this because I don't want to lose my scholarship. So it's letting you know that this is a big deal for him. But why? Like, we can tell, okay, maybe he's poor or something like that. He literally said he's from like the hood. But they don't really go into more detail other than that. And then he tells them that I don't want to lose my scholarship. But then he's all like, but let's not get caught. And so that totally defeats the purpose of him not wanting to lose his scholarship and everything. I'm trying to think. Fulton is literally just there. They still do the silly stuff when he hits it really hard and it makes those weird cartoonish noises and stuff. And I already told you that he told what's his name he doesn't want to play hockey for the rest of his life, and that's about it. Dean Portman, he's missing throughout the entire movie and stuff until the very end, the last game, when Gordon did something to get him a scholarship, and then all of a sudden he's back to be the second Bash brother. But it's not the same feel as you got in the second movie when they're like, you know, tossing people around and stuff, other than when he tosses a dude through like the protective glass, and that's about it. And so, but then he's literally just there just to be crazy. He gets a penalty and he starts like wooing the crowd. He rips his jersey, his shirt, and his pads off, and he's bare chested, just like dancing and everything. And it's just like, really? Like, what the world? And not only that, but like the women were like going crazy for him, but he's a teenage boy. he's just a freshman in high school and stuff. And then there's Luis, the dude who's like really fast and can't stop. He still has the same character development he has in the second movie of him skating real fast, and now all of a sudden he still can't stop, which makes no sense because he learned how to stop at the end of the second movie. The only thing he does in this movie is he crushes on a girl who's dating a guy in like varsity and stuff. And they do something really demeaning. Like, first he's hitting on her and she says like, I have a boyfriend, and he doesn't like that. So he disappears so fast and he's crawling under the table, and there's a table full of cheerleaders with their skirts. There's a scene I can't believe made it in the movie, and they still have this scene on Disney Plus. He's crawling around and he can see up the girl's skirt. He turns and breaks the fourth wall and smiles at us. I'm just like, dude, I can't believe they left that in there and stuff. And I think that's oh, and then at the end, he's making out with that dude's girlfriend. He's all like, yeah, this is our little secret. It's like, really? Because throughout the entire movie, we barely saw y'all together except for that one time. Oh, no, two times. And so it would have been nice to see them sneaking around doing something other than this just being like a total shocker and everything. But that's literally it. I'm not joking. That's all everybody does in this movie. What I just said. Like, that's it. They have no real character development. And Jesse's not even there. Supposedly, there's two rumors going around of why Jesse wasn't there. The first rumor is that, like, when I say it's supposed to be more darker, they reduced his lines. I believe this because they reduced the lines of everybody in this movie except for Charlie. And they said he had less lines than the first two movies combined. So they said that's one reason he didn't come back. Now there's another rumor that Keenan was being so rude to him in the second movie and picking on him that he didn't want to come back. I don't know if that's true, but I'm more inclined to believe the first one than the second one and stuff like that. But Keenan does clown on people, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this movie just like I said, it's not terribly bad. It's just not as cool as like the second movie. Now Charlie Mom does return in this movie, so that's a nice nod from the first movie and stuff. But other than that, it's like it's enjoyable to watch, but it's not gonna be as cool as say like the second movie. Now there is a subplot with Charlie that goes on like a little romance in the movie. However, the resolve of it makes no sense. So basically, he meets this girl at school, right? She's like a smart girl. She doesn't get along at that school. She don't get along with the cheerleaders and stuff like that, right? She's kind of like an outcast a little bit, and she's an activist and everything. And so she tells Charlie she wants him to sign a petition to change the mascot of the school because it's racist and stuff. Basically, their mascots are the Warriors. They're old school Native Americans with with a feather in his head, and his entire face is black. The feather is black, everything else is black. So not only is it black face, but it's an old school Native American. And then, he's all like, well, he doesn't see nothing wrong with it. And he starts naming other racist sports teams and stuff like that. And she's all like, oh, you're a jock. I should have known. And then so after that, he meets her again and he's all like, you're a little bit of a hypocrite, like, you're judging me because I'm a jock and blah blah, but you should come to like the hockey game and see how fun it is, blah blah. Well, when she sees him at the hockey game, she sees him getting like a huge temper with like the referee and everything. She sees him break his stick, so he's proving her point that he's nothing but a meathead. So then somewhere later on in the movie, when he's done having his blow up and starts being nice again, he starts talking to her again. And it's kind of like, why does she like him for? Because she wasn't romantically interested in him. She thinks he's a meathead and he's okay with all those racist sport names. But then later on, they start making out at the end of the movie once they win the game. And it's kind of like, that doesn't make no sense because he is literally everything she doesn't like. And he hasn't really learned his lesson. And that story just makes no sense. They just did to give him like a love interest. Now, originally, there was supposed to be a fourth movie. It was supposed to be set many years later. He's now an adult. And he gets pulled over with a DUI, similar to that of Gordon Bombay. And what does he have to do? Teach Pee Wee hockey. So it was supposed to be a retelling of the first movie. Thank God it didn't do that because what is it? It just would have been a retelling of the first movie. And, and then we really don't want to see his character go more downhill. Now, one person I forgot to mention is Adam Banks. He's in this movie, but he's barely in it as well. Basically, he gets traded to that varsity, even though he's a freshman, because he's a better player than everybody. So he's hanging out with them, and we really don't get to see him. But then the varsity pulls the prank on like the Ducks and everything. This pisses off like a couple of the others, and it pisses off Charlie to where Charlie starts being mean to him when they start playing, because when they pulled the prank on them with the ants, they challenged them in the morning. And so him and Charlie are going at it, but so it's kind of like a retelling of the first movie, but it doesn't have that same feel as the first movie because Adam's barely a character in the movie. And then he disappears for the rest of the movie only to rejoin the Ducks when they got kicked out of school. And it's kind of like, this storyline went nowhere. And it could have been juicy like the first movie, but it wasn't. All these characters are literally side characters. And it's quite a shame. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.